Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that, honestly, it comes with a very serious uh, proceed with extreme caution label. We're talking about how to engage with a narcissist. Now, before you think this is some kind of, I don't know, romantic comedy playbook, let me be really clear. This isn't about finding love, not at all. This is about understanding a specific, high-risk personality type.
That's exactly right. Our mission today isn't really to guide you toward connection in the usual sense. It's much more like a tactical manual for navigating what can truly feel like a psychological minefield.
A minefield, yeah.
The goal is really to equip you with the knowledge to understand this intricate dance, but maybe more importantly, to protect yourself. Make sure you don't lose yourself in the process.
Okay, so let's dig into who we're actually dealing with here, because a narcissist is more than just someone who's, a bit full of themselves, right?
Oh, far more, far more. When we look at the source material, the clinical understanding, narcissism isn't just self-love. It's defined by things like a grandiose self-importance.
Grandiose, okay.
Yeah. They genuinely believe they are special, unique, often expecting constant praise and attention because, they feel superior. But here's a really crucial, often overlooked part. Behind that really confident exterior, there often lies deep, deep insecurity. Clinical research often points to childhood trauma, maybe neglect, or really inconsistent praise, things that leave them with genuinely fragile self-esteem.
So they act arrogant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They act arrogant, but underneath, they're often terrified of feeling unimportant and insignificant. So you got to think of them not just as these confident rulers, but maybe more like insecure children in adult bodies, just desperate for validation.
Oh, okay.
And look, if you attempt to engage with them in any kind of close way, you have to understand this. They probably won't value you as an equal. Your needs, they will almost always come last.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This understanding is purely for your protection, for your strategic calm. It's not about trying to cultivate empathy that leads you to sacrifice yourself. That's a dangerous path.
Got it. Protection first. Now, that initial charm, it can be incredibly captivating, almost seductive, can it?
Oh, absolutely.
So what's behind that sparkle? And how do we, tell it apart from something more? No, genuine.
That's a vital question, right? Perception versus reality. Narcissists often say one thing and do another completely. As one psychologist puts it, actions often speak more truthfully than words.
Actions, okay.
You absolutely must watch what they do, not just what they say. For instance, they might shower you with compliments, call you amazing, perfect.
Yeah, the love bombing phase.
Exactly. Listen to those words, sure, but pay much closer attention to how they treat others around you. The waiter, the parking attendant, their family. Are they genuinely polite and kind to everyone, or only when they need something?
Good point.
And be skeptical of those grand statements about your future together. If their behavior doesn't match up, say they flood you with compliments but consistently flake on plans, you need to trust those actions. Look at the patterns, the outcome patterns, to truly judge someone's motives. Their whole seduction strategy is often just to dazzle you with talk, like to overwhelm you with these positive words.
So you need to outsmart that.
You need to outsmart them by tracking those patterns. Did they blow up a previous relationship because their partner didn't feed their ego enough? Do they gossip relentlessly or turn on people the second they feel challenged? These are serious red flags that pretty talk just won't change.
Right.
Remember, a narcissist's polite words are often like expensive packaging on a cheap gift. The real thing is only revealed, and often, disappointingly so, when you unwrap their behavior over time.
Like getting that fancy box.
And finding a pair of socks when you were hoping for, I don't know, that gaming console. It's that kind of disconnect.
Yeah, okay, I can see that comparison. It really highlights the gap. So when you face a narcissist, you might immediately feel this surge of nervousness, right? And you're saying that's often intentional on their part.
Very often, yes.
They use intimidation, maybe blame to gain control. So if you're trying to navigate this, how do you not flinch? How do you keep your cool and not give them that power?
The core idea here is to deny them that control they crave. First step.
Yeah.
Maintain unwavering eye contact.
Really? Eye contact.
Showing confidence with a steady gaze, good posture. It signals you're not easily shaken.
Yeah.
You want to dominate. Right. And if you look unafraid, you deny them that rush of power they're seeking.
Okay.
You should also speak calmly and directly. Keep your tone even, clear. Narcissists often dislike uncertainty. A direct statement like, I'm happy to listen, but let's talk about this calmly, can really defuse tension.
As opposed to getting emotional.
Exactly. Rambling, crying, getting angry.
Yeah.
That can actually feed their sense of control. Psychologists advise that the best shield is just self-assuredness. They will test you. You have to give them nothing emotionally.
Well, nothing.
Nothing. If they hurl insults, imagine them just bouncing off. If they try to provoke you, stay unmoved. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore them completely, but rather you adopt what's sometimes called the gray rock approach.
Gray rock.
Yeah. Be boring, neutral, brief. Respond with maybe an or a simple nod. Don't match their volume. Don't match their drama.
So you become uninteresting as a target.
Precisely. It's a crucial self-preservation tactic because narcissists tend to burn out when they can't get an emotional rise out of you. You're essentially starving their need for that reaction.
Okay, starving the need. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, here's a part of the guide that feels really counterintuitive. It suggests you actually feed their ego. My first thought is, doesn't that just make you look weak, like a sycophant?
Yeah, it's a very common reaction, that thought. But what we're discussing here is strategic praise, which is very different from weak, constant flattery.
Strategic praise. How does that work?
Well, the source material suggests two main principles for this. First, you sort of suspend your own ego and let theirs shine. And second, you use ego-boosting appeals.
Suspend my ego.
Okay. In practice, this means letting them take the spotlight. If the conversation happens to be about you, find a way to skillfully shift it back to them. Listen eagerly when they talk about themselves. This tactic, sometimes called ego suspension, means you temporarily defer your own needs in the interaction, allowing the narcissist to kind of win the conversational space.
Makes them feel powerful.
Exactly. Powerful and admired. You also want to appeal to their achievements, compliment things they genuinely care about, their work, maybe their unique style, how well they handled some challenging situations.
Things they value.
Right. And here's a clever little trick.
Yeah.
Let them correct you.
Let them correct me. How?
You state something slightly wrong about them, or maybe their ideas, then allow them to jump in and prove their greatness. For instance, you might say, I'm sure you're already one of the top players in your field, but with a slight, almost imperceptible tone of uncertainty.
Okay.
This prompts them to assert, oh, I am. Suddenly, you've given them this opportunity to feel superior and boast a little. It's a gentle, almost invisible form of flattery.
Subtle.
Very. But here's the critical warning. Never overdo it. Excessive constant flattery can ironically make you look weak or insincere to them. The goal is to intrigue them, captivate them, speak their language, not to become their doormat.
Okay, so it's about carefully chosen words to get a specific reaction, not just mindless praise. Now, narcissists famously crave an audience, right? And the more they talk about themselves, the more narcissistic supply they get. That's that attention, that validation they desperately need.
Absolutely.
So how do you turn that into an advantage without completely sacrificing yourself or feeling like you're just, I don't know, a human microphone?
Right. This is where listening and mirroring becomes a really powerful tool. The strategy is essentially to listen far more than you speak and to truly make them feel heard.
Make them feel heard. How?
Ask open-ended questions. Gently steer the conversation towards their passions, their expertise. What got you interested in that field? Or how did you manage to handle that project so well? This subtly shows you value their perspective.
Got it.
Use reflective listening, nod, smile, occasionally say things like, wow, that's fascinating, or tell me more. When they pause, maybe summarize what they just said, like, so it sounds like you felt really in control when that indicates you're truly paying attention.
They hate feeling dismissed.
Exactly. They hate feeling dismissed. So if they feel you actually understand them, they will warm up to you. You can also mirror their enthusiasm. If they brag about winning some new contract, cheer with genuine or seemingly genuine enthusiasm. Wow, that must feel incredible.
Share the superficial joy.
Yeah, that shared, maybe superficial joy makes them associate good feelings with you. However, and this is important, keep your personal sharing brief and positive. Save the deep emotional stories, the vulnerabilities for your trusted friends, not for the narcissist.
Definitely not for them.
Definitely not. In essence, keep them talking, and they'll likely like you more. This is how you kind of seduce their ego. By letting them dominate the conversation, maybe 70–80% of the time, you gain valuable information, insights into their desires, and it leaves them with the impression that they're winning you over, which cleverly flips the usual power dynamic.
That is powerful, making them think they're the one in control while you're subtly gathering intel and guiding things. Okay, so once you've caught their attention, you've got them talking. The guide suggests something pretty intriguing. Pull back. Play hard to get. Why is that so crucial in this dangerous dance, and what are the actual mechanics of doing it?
Well, narcissists, many of them, live for the chase. Nothing baits them quite like a challenge. And yeah, playing hard to get can truly ignite their obsession.
Ignite their obsession. Wow. Okay, how?
The tactics involve maintaining some deliberate distance. If you've been texting or calling pretty often, maybe start spacing out your replies. Make it seem like you're busy, not always immediately available. A simple excuse like, oh, sorry, work's been crazy, just saw your message now, that adds a little hint of doubt.
Makes them wonder.
Exactly. Narcissists absolutely hate feeling like they're losing focus or control over you. When you create that little bit of uncertainty, they'll often perceive you as more valuable because they might assume you're popular or genuinely busy and important.
Okay, what about in person?
Be slightly aloof in person too. If you meet up, make brief eye contact and smile, but then maybe look away first. If the conversation is flowing really well, politely excuse yourself after a few minutes. Say something simple like, oh, I need to check something quickly, or oops, I'm running a bit late for my next thing. It just keeps them on their toes.
Keeps them guessing.
Right. And crucially, hint, don't explain everything. Drop intriguing little hints about your life instead of giving full, detailed stories. For example, you might say, oh, I have this weird hobby that keeps me super busy, and then immediately change the subject. Let them ask about it.
Make them work for it.
Yeah, a little vagueness invites them to seek you out more. If they do ask, respond with something small and maybe a playful, but that's a secret. Suddenly you're enigmatic. As one psychotherapist notes, mystery is a great aphrodisiac.
Interesting.
By not revealing everything about yourself all at once, you hold their attention longer. You're essentially weaving this tiny hall of mirrors for them. They see what they want to see, this alluring, slightly distant figure. But behind those mirrors, you're in control of how much of yourself you actually show.
So it's about making them pursue harder.
Exactly. Making them want to unveil more of the secret that you appear to be. It's a calculated move, definitely not about a genuine desire for immediate, deep connection.
Okay, that feels like a very subtle chess game you're playing there. Now, the guide also advises making your interactions bright and rewarding. How does that fit with our strong warning tone? Aren't we supposed to be cautious almost? Adversarial?
It might seem contradictory on the surface, yeah, but it's entirely strategic. Narcissists, generally speaking, respond best to fun and flattery, and they respond least well to whining, criticism, or negativity.
So keep it light.
If you want them to keep seeking you out, you need to make your interactions consistently pleasant for them. This means things like mirroring their mood. If they're in a playful mood, crack a witty joke, play along. If they're serious, nod along with respect. Matching their energy builds that sense of rapport.
Right.
Use light humor, maybe a self-deprecating joke or something situational, but never at their expense. That's crucial. Radiate positivity when you can. Smile genuinely, laugh at their jokes if they're actually funny, bring enthusiasm to the conversation. If you become synonymous with good times in their mind,
They'll want more.
they'll seek you out. And this leads to the critical warning here. Avoid heavy complaints at all costs.
Okay, no venting.
Absolutely none. Never unload your personal grievances, your insecurities, your problems onto them. Narcissists typically have very little patience for emotional drama, unless it's their own, of course.
Right.
If you overshare your struggles, they might use it to feel superior, or they might just get bored and lose interest. Keep your issues for your trusted friends, your therapist, whoever.
Got it. Keep it enjoyable for them.
The goal is to make them want more of your company because it feels enjoyable to them. You are the one who provides that enjoyment, and this is key only when you choose to, not out of some sense of obligation.
That makes sense. You're essentially curating the experience for them, on your terms. Now, even in this precarious game, your own worth, your own self-respect has to be paramount. The guide stresses setting boundaries. Why is this so incredibly important, and how do you even do it without losing their interest or, worse, triggering their disdain or rage?
Setting boundaries is absolutely critical. It's non-negotiable for self-protection, really, because narcissists will consistently, almost compulsively test limits. If you don't have boundaries firmly in place from the start, they will walk all over you. It's almost guaranteed.
So how do you set them effectively?
You need to be direct about your expectations, calmly but firmly. If they push you into meeting up when you can't or making decisions you're not comfortable with, just state your needs clearly. I'd love to plan another date, but I actually can't tonight, or, I'm not really comfortable doing that, maybe another time.
No need for long excuses.
No, you don't have to apologize profusely or explain at length. A simple assertive no or I can't sends a clear message. I'm not just here solely to please you. And interestingly, this can actually make you more intriguing to them. It signals confidence.
Confidence is key.
Absolutely. You also need to maintain your own life, your own routines, your friendships, your hobbies. Narcissists will often test whether you're truly available 24/7, whether their needs come before everything else in your life.
So don't drop everything for them.
Definitely not. If you suddenly become all about them, you risk looking desperate or easily controlled. Instead, keep up your hobbies, see your friends, have your own plans. When they ask where you've been, you can reply with a smile, "Oh, just here and there. Busy week. Missed me." It demonstrates independence, value, and paradoxically, that can make them pursue you even more.
Okay. And what if they cross a serious line?
Then you must be prepared to assert consequences. If a narcissist truly crosses a boundary, gets insulting, overly demanding, disrespectful, be prepared to follow through. You might calmly say, this conversation isn't feeling productive right now. Maybe we can talk later, and then actually end the conversation. Hang up, walk away.
You control your attention.
You control your attention and your time. They need to know that. Now, while setting boundaries can be ironically attractive to them because it signals that confidence we talked about, the ultimate safety warning here is this. If the narcissist becomes abusive, truly disrespectful, or refuses to respect even your most basic limits, you must be prepared to walk away completely.
That's the final boundary.
That's the ultimate boundary. Your dignity, your mental health, your safety, they are paramount. You always, always have the option to leave. Don't forget that.
That's crucial to remember. One of the biggest sources of frustration when dealing with anyone difficult, but especially someone like this, is trying to change them. And with a narcissist, that feels like, a losing battle from the start.
It absolutely is a losing battle.
So what's the alternative? Besides constantly feeling that internal screaming, that frustration of hitting a brick wall?
The alternative is acceptance. Radical acceptance, maybe? You have to accept them as they are. Now, this doesn't mean you agree with their behavior or condone it, not at all. It simply means acknowledging that they operate with their own, often skewed, logic and pain.
Acknowledging their reality, even if it's warped.
Exactly. This acceptance is so crucial because it keeps you sane. It provides vital psychological distance. You have to let go of any idealized image you might have that you can somehow fix them or make them treat you better consistently. Their thought patterns, their behaviors, they're often deeply ingrained, sometimes from very early on.
So you can't change them?
You likely can't change their core nature, no. But you can practice compassion quietly for the wounded person that might be inside. Instead of reacting with anger or hurt to their manipulations, try to remind yourself they likely grew up wounded in some way. When they act out, try to mentally separate their behavior from yourself. See it as their issue, stemming from their own stuff, not a reflection of your worth.
Depersonalize it.
Precisely. That shift stops you from reacting so emotionally, from getting hooked.
Yeah.
Detach your ego from theirs. They might be stuck on this broken emotional loop. Your job, if you choose to engage, is to sort of dance the tango without letting your steps get completely muddled by their chaos.
Keep your own rhythm.
Keep your own rhythm. And then there's a final, maybe sobering perspective this source suggests. Remember their mortality.
Their mortality.
Yeah. Everyone dies. It's a humbling thought, right? No matter how big they act, how powerful they seem, a narcissist is still just a human being, likely quite frightened underneath, dealing with the same existential reality as everyone else. Thinking about this reminds you that their perceived power is temporary. It's not absolute. It can help you approach them with a little more fearlessness.
Takes the wind out of their sails, psychologically.
It can. The less you take their comments or actions as personally earth-shattering, the stronger you become in the interaction. This acceptance, this perspective, it ensures you're never totally surprised by their behavior, and that really disarms their power over your feelings.
That's incredibly freeing to hear, actually. The guide even lays out a kind of 6-step seduction playbook, but let's be absolutely crystal clear. Each step here is a calculated tactic, right? Not a heartfelt gesture.
Oh, absolutely. Calculated is the word. This playbook is a sequence you can deploy, but each step needs to be delivered with care, with confidence, and with that strategic intent we've been talking about.
Okay, what are the steps?
All right, step 1, appear unflappable. Before you even speak, project this image of someone with a full, interesting life. Act friendly, sure, but not overeager. Let them kind of seek you out first.
Be the pursued, not the pursuer.
Initially, yes. Step 2, pay smooth compliments. compliment something specific about them that lets them shine, something they're proud of, then immediately follow up with a question or topic of interest to them. Get them talking to themselves.
Okay.
Step 3, mirror and validate. While they're talking, subtly mirror their body language, posture, gestures, and paraphrase what they said now and then just to show you're listening. Make them feel deeply seen and understood. Step 4, mix in and praise. Praise carefully. When they mention achievements, express genuine-sounding awe or admiration. Wow, that's incredible. Then segue back to them by asking a relevant question. Keep the focus on them.
Right. Keep feeding the ego, strategically.
Strategically. Step 5, share a tantalizing hint. Slip in a little mystery about your life. A brief hint at something intriguing, a unique project, an unusual trip, but do not elaborate unless pressed, and even then, keep it brief. They'll spend time wondering.
Creates that curiosity.
Exactly. And finally, step 6, withdraw on a high note. If the conversation is going really well, find a reason to step back before it naturally fizzles out. So you have an errand, need to make a call, whatever. Exit gracefully, leaving them wanting more.
Leave them hanging a little.
Just a little. Now, this playbook, it should be used sparingly, situationally. It's not a magic formula. Each step is designed to give them a small win, a little dopamine hit, making them associate those positive feelings with you.
And you mentioned their flaws as leverage.
Yeah, it's also fascinating to understand the narcissist's fatal flaws, as the source calls them, as potential points of subtle leverage. Things like their deep-seated fear of being outshone, their insatiable need for validation, their profound hatred of rejection, and that almost childlike, insatiable curiosity. You're not trying to crush anyone, obviously, but understanding these vulnerabilities helps you make yourself intriguing in their mind.
Okay. But there are risks here, too.
Huge risks. A crucial warning. Never go too far. Be acutely aware of what's called the rescue retreat trap.
Your rescue retreat trap.
They might dangle a prize, affection, commitment, whatever, and then suddenly yank it away. They do this to test your loyalty, to see if you'll panic and chase harder.
So what do you do?
Do not panic. Do not beg. Take their withdrawal calmly. Appear unfazed. Continue living your life visibly. Narcissists, counterintuitively, often respect confident detachment far more than needy pleading.
Detachment again. It keeps coming back to that.
It's a core survival skill in this dynamic.
So it really is just a constant vigilance game, nonstop awareness. And finally, the biggest, probably the most vital warning in this entire deep dive, knowing when to just walk away. This isn't just a game. There are very real, very serious risks to your well-being involved.
Precisely. This is the bottom line, the ultimate safety net. No matter how skilled you become at this game, at navigating these tactics, you absolutely must remember your emotional safety, your mental health, it comes first. Always.
No exceptions.
No exceptions. If any interaction becomes genuinely too toxic, if there are overt threats, prolonged cruelty, manipulation that leaves you feeling constantly anxious or drained, or if you start to actually fear for your well-being, you must stop. End it.
Cut contact.
Cut contact, if necessary. You owe them nothing, certainly not your peace of mind. It's perfectly acceptable, in fact, it's essential to cut things off completely and move on. Remember, you'll never truly win with a narcissist in the sense of making them love you as an equal or having a balanced relationship. You're only ever playing on their terms, and those terms are inherently skewed against you.
So be your own hero.
Be your own hero. Absolutely. If this engagement becomes more harmful than strategic, more draining than, dare I say, occasionally interesting, swing your attention, your energy, back to people who reciprocate your kindness, your respect, your care. A true seduction, a real connection, it's never worth your soul. Walking away is the ultimate power move you possess. Don't be afraid to use it.
Okay. Wow. So to quickly recap our deep dive into navigating this narcissist minefield, the key takeaways seem to be: stay calm, project confidence, observe their actions far more than their words, appeal to their ego but strategically, listen more, make them talk, be mysterious to ignite that chase instinct, keep your interactions generally light and positive for them, respect yourself absolutely by setting firm boundaries, accept their nature without trying to change them or condoning bad behavior, avoid public showdowns, and above all, always have an exit strategy firmly in mind.
That sums it up well. It truly is a delicate dance, as the source material calls it. It's a set of tactics, not a promise. And the prize, if you can even call it that, is someone inherently unpredictable, often difficult, and unlikely to meet your deeper emotional needs. So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this. Given the constant vigilance required, the emotional labor, and the inherent one-sidedness of this dynamic, What stands out to you as the greatest risk to your own well-being in choosing to engage with a narcissist, even strategically? And how will you ensure, absolutely ensure, that your emotional safety remains paramount? Think deeply about that before you even consider stepping onto this particular dance floor.